It is the 12th of October. Exactly 20 years ago on this day, a terror attack unfolded in Bali. It claimed the lives of at least 202 people. Most of them were foreign nationals. Today marks the 20th anniversary of this gruesome event, one that forced Indonesia to confront extremists breeding on its soil. So how have things changed 20 years on? Here's a report.
This is Bali, one of Indonesia's 37 provinces, renowned for its rich heritage. 20 years back, it came under attack, the most gruesome attack in its history. It involved the detonation of 3 bombs. The first 2 were detonated in the tourist district of Kuta. A third, much smaller device exploded outside the US consulate in Denpasar. The casualties were colossal. More than 202 people died in these bombings. Most of them were foreign nationals. There were 88 Australians, 38 Indonesians, 23 Britons, and people from more than 20 other nationalities. So, who was behind the attack? The Jemaah Islamiyah, an Indonesia-based Islamist group, which wants an Islamic state in Southeast Asia. Was this the real motive behind the attack? No one knows. But a year since the attack was carried out, an audio tape was leaked. It was attributed to Osama bin Laden, who claimed the bombings were in retaliation to America's war on terror. However, the authorities denied his involvement in the attacks. Today is the 20th anniversary of this heinous crime, a crime that still remains etched in people's memories.
We will now hold a minute's silence to reflect on and remember the lives lost and those injured in the Bali bombings.
These commemorations and services are proof. These are families of the victims of survivors, paying tribute to the people they lost, holding a minute of silence in respect.
20 years later, the pain is still felt. That night remains seared into the national memories of Indonesians, Australians, and so many others.
I'd been in the AFP for over 20 years, but I'd never experienced a tragedy on this scale. But amongst the sadness at the hospital, I also began to see the positive humanity.
In Sydney, a similar ceremony was held. It was attended by Australia's Prime Minister himself, with thousands of Australian citizens in attendance. A few miles away, the Australian Parliament also commemorated the attack, calling it the worst of humanity, which brought out the very best.
But ultimately, the terrorists failed. Because while an act of terror might shake us, it cannot change us. Those who attacked us wanted to divide Australia and Indonesia, to shatter the bonds between 2 great democracies, painstakingly built on multi-faith, multicultural foundations, and to strike at what makes us all human. But the worst of humanity brought out the very best. Out of that dark act were born such radiant acts of courage and of love.
Back in Bali, the survivors of the event recalled the night that changed their lives, the visceral impact of the attack and the trauma they endured.
To be honest, at that time I heard an explosion, saw the fire, was very scared, and to this day I still feel traumatized and scared when I take the car out and get caught in a traffic jam.
The Bali bombings were indeed a watershed moment for Indonesia, a country with the world's largest Muslim population. It forced the secular state to confront the presence of extremists. Immediately after the attack, Indonesia set up an elite anti-terrorism unit called Special Detachment or Densus 88. It weakened the group behind the attack and resulted in scores of extremists being held. The country also pioneered de-radicalization schemes, but to this day, these schemes face tough questions on their effectiveness. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.